welcome to another Beyond Sport podcast, the podcast that goes beyond sport, looks at mental health, career aspirations, speaks to inspirational people within sport, health, exercise, lifestyle, all the different sectors. I'm Mark Ellams. I'm delighted once again to be joined by Craig Collins and Nath Foley from the Sports College. We have got student host Ellie Ball, and I am delighted to welcome Sophie Scargill to the Beyond Sport podcast. Sophie is a commercial executive at Doncaster Rovers. She's also the club captain of Doncaster Bells and has had a range of different roles within the club, and will tell us about her academic, her sport, and her physical activity and mental health. Sophie, welcome.
Hi, guys.
No problem. Now, Sophie, you're big into your football, you're big into your sport. Has football always been a big part of your life, playing sport?
Yeah, I can't really remember a time where football or sport wasn't part of my life. My earliest memory was running around my garden pretending to be Alan Shearer. So I've always loved sport and always wanted to make sure that whatever path I took in life incorporated sport and specifically football. So I've been lucky enough to do that.
Brilliant. And then obviously you play women's football and stuff. You've been at Doncaster Bells for a couple of years now. You've obviously previously played for Huddersfield and Leeds United. Is there any kind of ways that you prepare yourself kind of mentally for the games and stuff on a weekend and stuff?
Yeah, I'm quite superstitious, to be honest. I know it's not really something that you should be. You should just go out into the game and do it. But I always have to make sure that I put my right shin pad on before my left shin pad, and then my right boot before my left boot. I have to do that. But other than that, for like preparing myself, I've got to eat a certain amount of time before the game as well. Like I make sure that it's like 3 hours before the game, and I'll be all over the shop if I don't eat 3 hours before the game. And then just before I play, I've got to eat a banana. If I don't have a banana, then that's it, game over.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you found yourself being appointed club captain. So how do you use that role to sort of help other people on the team, especially like the younger players and those who are just joining?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, what I have to do is kind of be the person that they can go to if they're feeling down or whatever. Because what we have is we have a team captain and a club captain, and I've taken on the role of the club captain. And I see myself as more as like someone who can motivate rather than give direction on the team, on the pitch. And that's been specifically something that I've had to work on during lockdown, because it's been difficult for all of us, and something that no one were prepared for. So to have that role during lockdown has been something that's been a real challenge for me to know what to do, because I live on my own, so sometimes I was looking for who I could go for help or for guidance, and then I realized that actually I'm the club captain and I'm one of the senior players, so I kind of had to be there for other players as well in this time, and it's been a learning curve for me. But yeah, it's just one of those where I just try to motivate everyone. My biggest thing I always say to everyone, I'm not the most skillful or talented player at all by any means, but I'm the hardest worker, and I kind of trying to make sure that all the team, my teammates know that that's how I feel, and know that if they've got the talent and the desire to work hard, then they can go far.
Brilliant. Does that sort of feed into your question, Paulie, about coping with stuff that's going
on? How do you cope with the pressure that comes with playing and being the captain for Bells?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of pressure. I think especially last season, the season before the one that we went into lockdown, we weren't doing very well, and to play for a team like Doncaster Bells, it's got so much heritage and so much history, to not be doing very well on the pitch, it's a lot of pressure. You kind of expected to do well, so dealing with it is hard, but there's loads of different things that I can do to kind of chill myself out before a game. So like I'll have a rule where I don't use my phone before a game. I don't want to be seeing what anyone's put in. I have stuff where I'll, throughout the week, if there's pressure of work and football, like if it's getting too much, I'll go for a run. I've started running, and just speaking to people, really, because that's something that I've never been good at, speaking to people, and letting them know when stuff gets on top of me. I was never good at that. But specifically lockdown has taught me that you've got to speak to people, and you've got to let them know that stuff is getting too much and it is too much pressure, and just speaking to people will help relieve it, even if it doesn't solve the problem. You've shared the problem.
So if you've spoke about not being on your phone before the game and trying to avoid the distractions, I was listening to another podcast and they were saying about the professional footballers straight after the game, they're on Twitter to see what people are saying about them. Would this be something that affects you, or would you just try and get away from it, kind of any sort of negativism?
I think everyone's going to have an opinion, aren't they? Like we could go to the same game and have a completely different opinion of who's played well and who's not played well, who's performing, who's not performing. I avoid looking at any negative stuff before or after a game, really. If I've had a bad game, I know I've had a bad game. I don't need someone on Twitter to be telling me that I've had a bad game. I know, and my teammates will be there telling me, and my managers will be there telling me what I can improve on. So it's definitely something that I try to avoid. In terms of before a game, the reason that I avoid it is just I'm trying to just be in the zone. I don't really like putting stuff out before we go. I mean, we get loads of amazing good luck messages that it's always nice to give it a little like and make sure that they know that we appreciate them, because the travel all over to watch us. But yeah, in terms of putting anything out myself or reading anything that could distract me from the game, it's a no-go.
No, that's sound, and it's good to hear that. You talked briefly about Alan Shearer being one of your role models, and I know within the women's game, like I remember people like Sue Smith, Rachel Yankee, were absolute pioneers of the game. Would you say that now you, as both the club captain and as well as an influential female footballer, do you feel it's important for you to be a role model?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Growing up, I did mention that my role model was Alan Shearer. I didn't know as many female footballers then as what there is now. It was just one of those things. It just wasn't as big as it is now, and it's growing year upon year. I think it's really important for me to use my voice and show that girls can do it, because I think what a lot of things has happened in the last few years. What happens with female footballers is they reach the end of so they get to the end of school and they finish school football or college football, and then they don't pursue anything further because they think, right, I've got to pick now between my career and football. But you don't have to pick. I know it's still really difficult to make it a full-time job. The top two leagues probably is the only two leagues that you can go and make a full-time job in England. But there's absolutely no reason why you can't balance the both. I'm balancing the both. Girls up and down the country balance them, and I just think it's really important to say that if you enjoy it, then just go and do it. Go and do it for as long as you can, because there'll be a time where it comes and you can't play football anymore. And I think you should just, especially that we've had lockdown as well, a lot of people will think, oh yeah, I really have missed football. So just play for as long as you can.
Brilliant, great advice.
And you kind of mentioned there about balancing your two roles, and I kind of want to get into a little bit more of how you kind of got, into your route into university to eventually go on to the career that you've chosen. So tell us a little bit about that. What did you study and kind of your route that way, your pathway?
Yeah, so growing up, what I wanted to be Sky Sports anchor. That was the dream. So I went to college and studied English, IT, and sport. I thought that if I could combine the three, I could carve a path in media, sports media. I then went to Leeds Trinity University and did sports journalism, and came out with a degree there. I then did work experience all over in loads of different football clubs, and then got a job at York City doing the media there. and then soon went to Doncaster Rovers doing the exact same thing. So it was a dream, to be honest. It's all I wanted to do. What I did was take the information and news that were coming out of the club and put it out on the social media channels, website, etc., etc. And it's everything that I wanted to do. It was everything I'd studied to do, everything that I'd dreamed as a little girl growing up, what I wanted to do. I then was presented with an opportunity from the club, which suited me more than I ever could have envisaged growing up. I never would have thought of myself as going into the sales side, but I'm now the commercial executive, which in a nutshell is sales for the club and looking after partners, so big companies that spend money, looking after them and making sure that they're happy with the deal and happy with what's going on. I never would have thought that would be something that I would be interested in. I never thought that I would be good at it. But it's just one of those things where you get experience and you get different opportunities thrown at you, and just take whatever comes at you and try your best in absolutely everything, because you never know what is going to work out for you. And I can't imagine a role better suited to me right now than creating relationships with companies and also getting to watch football as my job. It's I'm living the dream, really, aren't I?
That's that. Yeah, brilliant.
So obviously, commercial exec at the club. So can you tell us sort of what it looks like on a day-to-day basis in terms of your role? Because obviously we all work in the stadium, but Monday to Friday we don't see you. But then on a match day, if we come down to the game, you're visible everywhere. So obviously, like your role has to chop and change. So what does it look like on an average week?
Yeah, so we have nearly 70 partners with the club. And what I mean by official partners is, I mean that we have a agreement where they will pay for advertising, sponsorship, and rights around the stadium. So you'll see around the stadium that we've got advertising boards that are shown on the screen. We've got the TVs around the ground that's got the little logos, the little Sky Sports style advertisements around those. We've got stories that go out on the website. We've got e-shots that get sent out to all our partners, to all our fans. Basically, my job throughout the week is to look after them and make sure that their agreements are fulfilled. So I can be doing anything from writing them a story on the website. I can be creating their ad board for them. I can be getting their ad board made for them. I could be coming up with ideas on how to better engage their social media. And then also, when we're not in a lockdown world, when we have fans, I'm also selling hospitality. So we have a lounge on a match day that is for hospitality guests, where they can come and enjoy a 3-course meal and then go out in the fancy posh padded seats out on the deck. So I will sell and make sure that everything's fine with that. They get their booking fine. So day to day, my job is so different every single day, and that's why I love it so much, because I'm speaking to so many different people throughout the week that my weeks absolutely fly. And then it comes to Saturday and it's game day again. And I'm there making sure that everyone's all right and making sure the hospitality is all fine on a Saturday. So I really couldn't wish for a better job, and I'm really lucky, really, to do what I do.
Fantastic. Ellie, does that feed into your question?
Yeah. How do you balance your time between your full-time roles and being the captain for Bells?
With difficulty. To be honest, I don't have much of a social life. Not that I could have one in lockdown now anyway. But yeah, the sacrifices to be made to be spinning so many plates. Before lockdown especially, my job, my week would look like Monday to Saturday work, Sunday play football, and then I'd train/run on the night. And then I've got to walk my dog in somewhere of all that as well, and make sure that the kitchen's clean. So it's quite difficult to balance it. But if you love what you do, then you're never working, are you? So that's something that I would definitely say to you, as a student coming through. If you enjoy what you do, then it don't matter how you balance it. You do it. You just get through it. Whereas if you don't enjoy what you do, I can imagine that it becomes very tiresome. So no matter what you do, just make sure that you're loving it and you do it with passion.
Absolutely, Soph, and it leads into my question really. I've known you for a few years, and I know how much you love playing football, and you love that team environment. And all of a sudden it went, due to all the lockdown. So how have you kept yourself mentally, active and physically active at the same time?
I think it's been really difficult for everyone, hasn't it? It was absolutely bizarre, the first lockdown, just thrown into, oh, now you can't see anyone, you can't go to anything, you can't do all the things that make you tick. And it was really difficult. The way that I've coped is running. I never was a runner before. I actively avoided cardio. But now I have I run every single night, and it clears my brain. All the thoughts that I have about, oh, when is this going to end? What's going to happen? Oh, I'm on my own. Like, they all vanish when I'm running. I know that's it's going to be different for everyone. Some people don't enjoy it, but my tip would be to find something that you love and just absolutely roll with it. I'm running half marathons now and absolutely clocking up the miles. So that's one way that I've definitely learned to deal with it. But also speaking to people. I know I've mentioned that before. Even stuff like this, where I can just see people and speak and hear my own voice. There'll be days where in the first lockdown where I was furloughed, where I didn't hear my own voice for days. And I know that sounds mental, because why would you want to hear your own voice? But it's just so weird to speak after so many days being on furlough. So yeah, just using people to make sure that you're all right, and speaking to people and keeping close contact with friends. But yeah, physical activity, there's nothing like it to clear your mind.
And that kind of really links in with what I was going to kind of ask you, Sophie, is obviously you take your fit really seriously. You've obviously talked about all the physical benefits, but what kind of mental benefits does it have to you? As you said, like clearing your mind and stuff like that? Yeah,
sometimes this happens with everyone, especially in lockdown. Things just get too much. It don't matter who you are, what you do, no matter how much you love your job, there is going to be a boiling point for everyone at some point. Whether you have to balance things, or you've got a tight deadline, or you've got decisions to be making about your future, there's a boiling point for everyone, and it clears my mind so much. I could be so stressed, and so at the end of a long day, I'll just literally get my trainers on, go for a run, and I'll be back and I'll have hit a PB, and it's all my worries just go away for 90 minutes or an hour or however I'm running. And then I can really focus my mind and come back and think, right, it's not actually that big of a deal. You've got a deadline, but you can do it. You can get on with it. It's definitely something that has been a lifesaver for me during lockdown.
Perfect.
Yeah. Are you a playlister, or no music, or a podcast runner?
Do you know what? I mix it up. I love music's probably the main one. But I do love a podcast, just to listen to. I love things that I've seen one that it's called Champion Minded, and it's just to focus your mind and just go out and run. Sometimes I say to my friends, it's mental. Sometimes I'll go out and I'll forget that I'm running. And I'm like, I've just done 5K and I don't even realise that I'm running. I might as well do another 5K now. So yeah, I mix it up.
That's sound. That's class. It's like that the Skies run, isn't it? Sorry, Niamh.
It's okay, man. On the topic of mental health, so obviously you spend a lot of time in a team environment, and in particular the Bells. Do you find mental health as something you speak about openly within that team, and do you sort of see it being sort of you're accountable for not just your own mental health, but how your teammates are feeling as well?
Yeah, I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, but I think lockdown's been massive for realizing that people need you to be there for them. Before lockdown, it wasn't really something that anyone mentioned. You kind of just came and got on with the training, then you got on with the games. But I think, especially since COVID's happened, a lot of us are very aware that we are very isolated. There's quite a few people that live on their own, so it is very important to just check on your teammates and check on people and just make sure that you're okay, because even a smiley, happy, bubbly person that comes across on social media that's, oh, everything's fine, everything's great, you never really know what's going on in the back of someone's mind. So I think it's been a real highlight and a real showcase of yeah, you need to ask your friends if they're all right, and being in a team environment, it's great because we're all really close, so we know that we can ask each other, and we know that we're going to get a truthful answer.
Oh, that's class. Ellie, do you want to round us off with your last question?
What advice would you give a 17-year-old?
My biggest advice would be work hard. And I know that sounds like it's me popping out of the answer and just saying work hard, but the one thing that pushes you above anyone else is your work ethic. Easy for me to say. No matter how talented you are, no matter how good at something you are, no one's going to be looking at you if you're late, if you're not bothered about a session, if you don't try hard. The people that always impress me, and you probably be exactly the same if you're watching a game of football or you watching whatever you're watching on TV, the people that stand out to you, the people that work hard, and you can never ever fault someone for doing something wrong if they're working hard. So that's my biggest piece of advice. In terms of getting a job or following a career path, I would say get as much experience as possible. Experience, although you need degrees and you need qualifications to do certain things, no matter how much experience, you can never have too much. So my advice would be to, if there's an opportunity there, take it and work as hard as you can to impress.
Yeah, I think that's so important, that being able to work hard and putting yourself out there, isn't it? And like you said, all the volunteering that you did, all the placements that you did, have just kind of layered and scaffolded to where you are now. And without that drive, and that you sort of said about being at your uni experience, and you said my focus was getting the best degree I could get and the best placements I could get, and that's so important, and something that will definitely sort of reinforce to the students the importance of just backing yourself. And if you really want to do it, then you'll go and do it.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I think, I know uni is about the lifestyle as well, and it's an experience to have, but you only get one shot at being that young person. If I could go back, there's not much I'd change, which is something that I feel really fortunate enough to say. But if I could go back, I'd literally just get more experience and do more, and put myself out in positions where I can be noticed, and put my name out there, and just work hard. And you bang on. You've got to work hard. You've got to do it if you want it. But then again, if you want it, you're going to do it, aren't you? So.
So we're nearly out of time. We've really appreciated having you on and being able to, share your experiences. And one thing that's coming through is your work ethic and your determination to be the best, whether that be the best club captain, to be the best, footballer that you can be, to be the best, in your job role. So again, we really appreciate you being able to give your insight and we wish you all the best with the football, and hopefully get the bells up the league.
Thank you so much for having me on. Hopefully I haven't chatted too much.
No, you haven't.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
So.
Thank you.